I like getting the reactions from people.
It's an escape from everyday life, pretty much.
It helps me get close to people and kind of understand them better on a more personal level and amaze them as well.
It helped me get out of a phase where I was consistently bullied and made me feel like I was accepted.
When I was 12 or 13, my friend Mike Budson showed me a magic trick in my basement. Basically all it was the 6 of hearts was on the bottom. He's like, take any card as long as it's the 6 of hearts. All right, take any card as long as it's the 2 of diamonds. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to pick the King of Spades. He goes through the deck, and we're left with our 3 cards. That was it. I was just like, whoa, you're my magic? It just, I don't know, it gave me a feeling of like superiority, of like, I know something that you don't.
When I was in high school, I saw this kid doing magic, and I'm like, wow, he must be lonely, because he has a lot of time to do magic by himself. I'm gonna go play Pokemon, because that's what I did at the time, and still do. And I just saw Evan doing this magic stuff, and I was just like, he's really desperate for friends, obviously, because he just has to do things to impress these people.
I feel like the only people I've ever met that did magic were really nice, really outgoing, but also shy at the same time. Like they didn't know how to put themselves out there. So if you have something really cool to show a group of people, they're way more willing to be like, oh, hey, this guy's awesome, like, let's talk to him.
There's not many magicians out there. It is growing, but compared to other hobbies like music or sports, you know, it's definitely a minority. So there's an appeal in being kind of exclusive and being one of the only guys who can do what you do. On a deeper level, I would say magic can affect people on an emotional level that other hobbies or art forms can't really do. It's a very unique feeling that you get when you're shocked or curious or amazed, you know. We don't get that feeling very often anymore, but magic brings that out.
I like to fantasize, and that's part of being human, I feel like, is knowing that even though some things aren't real, it can be if you want them to, even though it's not technically real.
He likes to rub up on guys, and I don't blame him. I mean, let me start that over.
Wrestling's got a bit of disbelief to it as well. Like it's different, like wrestling is different from UFC, because wrestling has stories. It has bad guys and good guys.
For our generation, that was, wrestling was a thing, man. That was back when we actually had good wrestlers. There's the people to love, good people to hate. John Cena didn't win every pay-per-view, miraculously.
If you capture the fans correctly, like, the response is unreal. Like, people just completely freak out.
The feeling, you need to tell a story, and unlike other theater, you're telling a story literally with your body. So not only do you feel it with your mind, but you literally feel it with your body, and getting other people to be like, ooh and ah with something that you're doing to yourself.
I know personally that it's no joke, and that you take a beating out there every week. Every week you put it on, and even if it puts you in the hospital.
It's just got this appeal to it with the story. You get sucked up in this story, and you want the good guy to win.
When I was 8 years old, I went over to my friend Chris's house to play soccer in his backyard. It was a cold day in Michigan, so Chris came out wearing a bright orange ski mask. And my friend Corey, who was over, said to him, oh my gosh, you look like Rey Mysterio. And I was like, who's Rey Mysterio? So that's when I went home and watched WCW for the first time. The first wrestling thing I've ever saw. Turn on the TV, Diamond Dallas Page power bombs Booker T off the ramp through a table. And I was just like, oh my God, like these humans shouldn't be able to do that to each other. I flip over to Monday Night Raw, and the first wrestling match, full match that I saw was The Rock versus Triple H for the WWF Championship in a steel cage match. So that was in 1998, so I came into wrestling at like the peak of the Attitude Era. And it was the best time to be a wrestling fan, and I just fell in love. And I started wrestling on my basement floor when I was 8 years old. My parents had a video camera, and I would always borrow it and film stuff. And we'd have like these makeshift ladder matches and these Hell in a Cell matches using screen doors. When I was 13, I was still filming, and I made a backyard wrestling promotion, and it was called the XWF, Extreme Wrestling Federation.
Backyard wrestling on the trampolines, holy schmoly. A mother's nightmare, but they were out there religiously, rain, snow, sleet, sunshine, with chairs and my trampoline that I bought with my babysitting money. Ruined it with his wrestling.
I don't know, it became his life for years.
You were just having fun. Why am I breaking up fun for kids?
We'd just do a ton of backyard wrestling, and I'd film it, and then Kermit pirated video editing software for me. So I started learning how to edit videos. I would upload these music video wrestling matches that we did for XWF, and at one point you could type in backyard wrestling on YouTube, and like 70,000 videos would come up, and if you sorted it by rating, that's when they had the 5-star rating still, like 17 out of the top 20 videos were videos of XWF and videos that I edited. So I knew we were like doing a good job, both with like the storytelling of the video editing and the actual wrestling, to be entertaining enough. So when we were doing all this backyard wrestling, I would be watching other videos of other backyard wrestlers, and there was one, that guy that called out to me, his name was Combination Combat Kid, KKK, and I called him out during a promo. I won the World Wide Web Championship. That means I could beat people like Combination Combat Kid, Anarchy Andy. Around that same time, it was the summer of 2007, we had a guy named Justin, Johnny Margera at the time, come out and wrestle for us, with us. He came up to me one day and said, how would you like to wrestle in a real ring, in front of real people, every single week? So that's when I went to BCWA.
See, I was there with him at the beginning.
And the first day at BCWA, I went with Eric, and we're getting there, and Justin's just like, you won't believe this, KKK is here, Combination Combat Kid. And I see him, and I was actually starstruck. And it turns out, you know, KKK, I thought internet personality, internet like celebrity, this guy also lived in Michigan. And it turned out that it was Jason Brewer.
The first thing I'd hoped for is that they would get like real refs. Because this one ref that they had was just a terrible, terrible ref. Can't remember, I think it was like Viktor. In my mind, it was him following a passion that he wanted to do. Heck, he was 17 years old.
That's the way he wanted to spend his Sunday afternoons, and he wanted to learn the ropes, and if you're going to learn the ropes, you got to put in the time. And I think he's always understood, you're going to learn something, and learn it well. Don't pick it up in 1 minute. It takes you months, years to pick it up. He's willing to listen, he's willing to travel, he's willing to go places and put the time in order to learn what it is to be a good wrestler.
I think I was more nervous about him going out to California than I was having him go into wrestling.
When we were 15, Eric, Kermit, and like 12 of our other friends would always sneak out and come to 7-Eleven. One night we snuck out, and Kermit invited Lindsey out, and that's how I met Lindsey Dodd.
I haven't met Ree through me. She is really close to us at the time. She lives like 3 streets from here. I mean, I don't know. It's like when they met, you just knew.
His ex-girlfriend, Ree, is probably one strong weakness just because of the fact that they were together for 5 years, and Ree is just that one girl that will probably never ever leave Evan's mind. I wouldn't doubt it that he still thinks of her now and then.
I did overhear recently that he moved away to get away from a girl.
It was tough on both of us, and to get away was probably, I think we both needed it.
I told my wife, I said, man, I tell you, if I was at that age again, I'd do the same thing. You know, but my reasons would probably differ from his.
Evan went to California to get away from an ex-girlfriend. That's what he told me, so he can move on, because that was a tough breakup. But I feel like there was more behind that.
I think there's 2 reasons. I think the biggest reason was because of his ex-girlfriend and him needing to kind of set himself apart and do bigger and better things and prove to her and everyone else that he was better than everyone, back home. But I think another reason is because he did
genuinely like want to get big at wrestling and magic.
He needed a fresh start. I know he needed to get away from certain influences, bad influences, and I think he feared that his friends were not going places, or not going anywhere, and they were stuck. And one of his biggest fears is to become stagnant and just wallow in the same boring, mundane things day in and day out.
You see enough people circling the drain, like you got to get away to make a way.
He went there on a vacation with our friend C. Cardinal, and I think he just loved it. I asked him about it when he came back, and he's like, it's everything I've ever wanted. And he saw Michigan as a place of nothing, and it really is. It's just nothing. That's why I'm going to be here forever, because I'm nothing.
I think that someone sent him on his way, in a great way, though.
It's just a huge bonus that it happens to be completely clear across the United States, and what better way to get away from an old relationship that is just going to continue to weigh on you than to actually dip the hell out.
It's like the best thing that could have happened for him, because like had he stuck it out and sat around, maybe he never would have did P90, maybe he never would have had the channel blow up, maybe obviously wouldn't have moved to California because he'd still be kicking in Michigan with his arm around some chick in a movie, you know, for like the third time that week.
You know, and sometimes heartbreaks like that are so painful to go through, and we're going through them. Sometimes they're some of the best things that happen to us.
Throughout our relationship, Ree and I, we stayed together. We weren't those off and on couples, but we weren't like the best to each other as far as like being faithful. It kind of was this back and forth thing, and it finally led to me just really, really screwing up bad. And I cheated on her in an inexcusable way, and she didn't want to break up with me. She wanted to work through it. And so I was really upset at the time because I felt like I was being pushed away. And so I waited. I didn't break up. I tried to break up with her, and she was like, no, like, if anyone's going to break up with anyone, like, I'm going to break up with you. It's like, you screwed up. So we tried to work through it, and there was just something in my head that was waiting for her to screw up, just so I had an excuse to break up with her. And finally, that moment came, and I broke up with her. And it was just a situation where I thought like the grass was green on the only side. You know, we started dating when I had just turned 16, and we were together for 4 years. So when you're at that stage in your life, you know, high school sweetheart, you don't know anything else. So even as good as it was, I was kind of like clouded because it was just like, wow, if this is such like a good relationship, I can only imagine like how good else is out there. And when we broke up, I just quickly realized like that it wasn't like that, and I was really lucky. I know she wasn't perfect, but I know I was loved. Everything was great, and everything was good and healthy in our relationship at this point. And it's kind of like the story of the scorpion and the frog. There's a scorpion walking along a path, and then he needs to cross a river, but he can't because he'll drown. So he comes across a frog, and he says, oh, like, can I hop on your back and you'll take me across to the other side to the river? Like, I need to get across. And the frog says, no, you're a scorpion, you'll sting me, like, you'll kill me. Why would I help you? It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. You can trust me. It's just like, I need to get to the other side too. Like, we both need to get there together. If I stung you, we'd both drown. And the frog says, yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, hop on. So they start swimming across, everything's going well, and the scorpion stings the frog, and they both start drowning. And as the frog is going down, he says, but why? And the scorpion says, it's in my nature. So it's kind of always been me. It's just I know it's good, but it's in my nature to just fuck everything up. For everyone. Here, check this out. Like, if I take that, watch my shoe. That's what I'm gonna try to do. This is like this technique that I learned how to do.
And it reties itself.
Just like that.
Get out of here.
Yeah, just like that.
How did you do that?
It's like in video games when you go like left, up, down, right.
Right.